Hey guys, what's up? It is Ripe again, back with a mix of revenge and Neighbors from Hell stories. In today's title story, OP's neighbor breaks into his garage, destroys his musical equipment, and then OP in retaliation gets revenge by messing with the neighbor's truck. Without any further ado, let's dive right into the stories. And the first one is titled Meathead Screws with the Band and F's with the Dogs, We Screw with His Truck. My buddies and I rented a house during/after college. A big place, 6 of us living there with 2 dogs and a fat indoor cat, mine still with me and still fat. Next door lived a gentleman who I shall call Meathead. Meathead worked out a lot and was constantly aggressive and rude. We always thought roids, but that is just guessing. 3 of my roommates were in a band and would practice in the garage. The garage was covered in foam and was not that loud. Meathead called the cops twice and was told we were not doing anything wrong. Later on, we had a huge party at our house. We got permits from the city and had the band play. Meathead called the cops again and we had to stop everything and sort it out for a half hour. As the cops are leaving, Meathead, who has been watching from the sidewalk, starts yelling, "Search the house for drugs, they're a bunch of crackheads." Note, we were not, we were stoners. The cops leave, band plays, party goes on. And by the way guys, in case anybody is wondering, the "we were stoners" part was just a joke by OP that he elaborated on in the comments. Anyway, a few weeks later my buddy and I get home one night and find the garage door busted in and the band equipment screwed up. Drums slashed and power cords sliced. The speaker covers were dented but undamaged. We figured maybe kicked. We call the cops and report it. We are all kind of scared of Meathead, so we don't say anything. But the cops know all about us and go over to talk with him. I don't know what happened, but Meathead goes away in handcuffs. The police report never mentioned him, and as far as we know, it is still unsolved. The cops wouldn't tell us what was up, just to stay out of his way. The band knows their way around secondhand music, so wires get spliced and replaced and drums are fixed. It ended up being around $200-ish. When we next see Meathead, 4 of us are in the front yard. He says, "How's your band sounding?" Real smug. Until now, we have all gotten together and said we should not push this guy's bottoms, but the drummer shoots back with, "Great, how does your butthole feel?" Meathead loses it and attacks him. We don't make a good show of ourselves, kicks all our asses, but the cops come after he leaves and he is arrested again. We press charges and get a restraining order against him. Now, remember the dogs? 2 little Doberman and a wiener dog with 3 legs. They were a yippie pair, so they were inside most times. Walks and dog park and outback twice a day for nature. About a month after the fight, my buddy takes the dogs out back and then brings them both inside and tells me to come outside. I go and there are bits of meat all over, like steak strips. Wrapped in most are chocolate and we found unknown pills in some of them. Most of them are towards Meathead's house. Dogs are never let out back again. Drummer loses it, both dogs are his. But anything happens and Meathead is going to think it is us. We don't want to test a restraining order that much. We wait 2 months till the other 4 roomies are going out of town for a week. 3 to a wedding back east and 1 on work. Drummer and I make a plan to go up to Napa for 4 days and make a big fuss about asking the other neighbors on the street to watch the place. We rent a hotel room and everything. 2 nights in, we have a buddy who lives in the area stay in the hotel room with his girl and tell him to order some movies. We drive back. Meathead has a truck that he loves, tricked out 4-wheel drive with chrome and a custom paint job. When we get there around midnight and the truck was not there, we eat at Denny's and the truck still is not there at 1. A blunt later and at 2 AM the truck is there. We siphon off as much gas as we can and fill it with unleaded gas. Toothpaste is rubbed on their tailgate art. We drive back up to Napa, about 6 hours all told, and tell our buddy to get some clothes on. We want to get some sleep. When we got back, the truck was not in the driveway and we never saw it again. Meathead moved out maybe 6 months later. We never told the others about it until he was gone, and in our group the legends about the amount of crap we did get bigger every time. And by the way guys, for those of you out there who are like me not very car savvy, the reason why OP put this unleaded gas in the tank is the following. The Meathead's truck runs on diesel and they put unleaded into it. In addition, OP added, as for the toothpaste, something in it F's up the car's paint jobs and does it more to the paints used in custom jobs. At the time it was just one of those things you heard a lot. A friend of a friend did it to someone, for example. And yeah, Ripe Stars, I gotta say that is a pretty genius way of messing with someone's car. However, I'm curious, do you know any better ways to screw with someone's car even worse? Let us know if you have any good ideas in the comments. And the next one is titled, Exploit My Generosity, hopefully you don't like driving. One night I was on my way home from work and needed to stop at a gas station. This gas station was right off a very busy, tolled interstate highway and had an attached convenience store, as most do. It was dark out when I pulled up. I started pumping my gas and was headed to the store when another customer stopped me. His truck was at the pump across from me. He went on a sob story about how he just got a ticket for not having money to pay the tolls, being completely out of gas and needing to get home since he accidentally took all of his infant son's formula with him when he left. There was a woman with him looking through a diaper bag while he related his tales of woe, and right when he mentions the formula, she yells,
"Yeah, all the formula is in here. What were we thinking? We really need to get back,"
she said. Her wallet should be in the bag somewhere, but after dumping the contents inside the truck cabin, she lamented that it wasn't there. So yeah, obviously, they were looking for me to give them money. For some stupid reason, I decided to give them the benefit of the doubt. I go into the store, take out $20 from the ATM and give it to them. In retrospect, this was such a textbook example of the stranded driver scam, but I guess I was really naive. But then, instead of just thanking me for the money, this brazen son of a witch responds,
"Thanks, but we really need another $20 to make it home. Any way you could get more?"
He also promised he would mail the money back to me if I gave him my name, address and phone number. At that point I begin to regret giving him anything, as all the red flags are registering in my mind at once. Both of these people were very unhygienic, greasy hair, very poor teeth, consistent with meth use, and dirty clothes. The man's pupils were dilated a lot more than would be expected under the bright lights of the gas station, and he was especially twitchy. Likewise, the woman was pacing around, muttering to herself in faint concern. So yeah, they were probably both high. Also, looking at the contents of the diaper bags sprawled across their truck's interior, there was plenty of trash but no baby formula. I thought to myself, if I'm going to ruin these people's night, I needed to be sure, so I agreed to get more money, but first I asked him, "Can I see the citation you got? My cousin is a state trooper and could probably take care of it for you. I just need some of the information on it." As I jot down his license plate number on my phone, he checks his pockets before saying,
"Oh, I have no idea what I did with it. It's okay, I'll just pay it, no big deal."
So you don't have money for gas, but paying more than $100 on a traffic ticket is no big deal. Bull crap. I now also noticed the state of his license plate did not match up with his story. Pissed at myself, I am making my way back into the store and the wheels in my head are spinning. How can I get back at this a-hole? Have them kicked out? Nah, then they will just go to another gas station and victimize someone else. Call the police? They might not get here in time. I'm a few feet from the door when genius strikes. I turn and call over to him. "If you want, you can take my easy pass for the tolls. I don't really need it anymore. It's right on the dashboard. The door should be unlocked."
"Oh, that would be great. Thanks."
I go into the store and pretend to use the ATM while I am actually using an app on my phone to cancel my easy pass. I report their fraudulent activity to the attendant and hurry back outside. I told the man that I couldn't take any more money out of my account, sorry. He is disappointed but did not press me. I am grinning like a smug idiot on the inside, get into my car and notice the transponder is gone and drive off. I pull over a few minutes down the road and call the EasyPass office. By some stroke of luck, they are open late that day and I am able to speak with an actual person. I explained to her that when I got into my car just now, I noticed the transponder was gone. I already cancelled it but wanted to make sure it was all set. She confirms that it is deactivated and I can come pick up a replacement for a small fee. Not today. She asks and I tell her where and by whom I suspect the transponder was taken, giving her their license plate number and address of the gas station. She promises to pass the information along to the state police, which was absolutely perfect. A day or so later, the state police call me to say they have recovered my transponder and needed me to come in to give a statement. Of course, I obliged. While there, I tried to pry more information on the fate of the con artists, but they were not very forthcoming at all. Luckily, I told my cousin the story and she said she would look into the case for me. According to the report, they got CCTV footage from the gas station showing me giving the man money and then him taking my transponder when I went back into the store. Afterwards, the meth heads got back onto the interstate and stopped at the nearest rest stop, where they presumably tried their scheme again before moving on to the next one to repeat the process. Eventually, they got off the toll road and onto a different highway. When they drove through the EasyPass toll lane, they got flagged for not paying and were pulled over a few miles away. At this point, I was satisfied having caused them to get a $100 citation, but that was not the end of it. The cop notices something is up with the driver and calls for backup. When they arrive, the police officer gave the guy a field sobriety test which he failed and then he was arrested. While this is going on, the woman flipped out and started running. She doesn't make it very far before they catch up to her, whereupon she resists arrest. All in all, the guy was charged with DUI, not his first time either, possession, they had some meth in the truck, theft by deception for the $20 I gave them, and theft for the transponder. The truck was impounded and the guy got a large fine for operating without insurance, along with the $100 fine for not paying the toll. The woman was charged with possession and resisting arrest, and she also had a record. All in all, pretty sweet revenge. They ended up only being tried for the drug-related charges, but I am still very satisfied with that along with the fines. It gave my cousin, the cop, a good laugh too. And you know, Ripe Stars, what just came to my mind speaking of gas stations. Yesterday I found a new game on Steam called Gas Station Simulator, in which you essentially take care of a gas station in the American desert, I suppose Nevada or something. And the game is really surprisingly entertaining. I'd highly suggest you to try it out. And by the way, this is not a sponsorship. Either way, if you have watched until here, I would really appreciate it if you could post some star emojis in the comments if you wish to support the channel. Thank you so much in advance. And the next one is titled Relatives Lose Everything Because They Were Too Stupid to Keep Their Mouths Shut. A bit of context here, I work as a lawyer for an excellent and famous law firm here in northern Italy. My family went through some tough times in the last 9 years. We had to face a brutal divorce with my dad. Having depleted every single cent he could, one of my aunts was brutally murdered because of a €150 cautionary deposit. My granddad was diagnosed with cancer and some other funny stuff in the middle. Because of that, our bonds became stronger and stronger. Must say that with my family, I mean my brother, her parents and my 2 aunts. This year, the pandemic managed to take away both my aunts. I loved them to the moon and back, but one of them was married to a complete douchebag. He always considered himself to be better and smarter than anyone else, and so were his relatives. My aunt and her husband, I straight up refuse to call him uncle, lived in a huge house, and so did his brother with her wife and son. He died around 7 or 8 years ago and left almost everything he could just to his brother and his family, completely ignoring my family because, OP's granddad is already rich, why should I leave anything to his daughter and grandson? Basically. This year though, my aunt was won by the pandemic. I was grieving, since I really loved her and cared about her, and I already lost another aunt prior. When the notary called us to read the will, both me and my mother came out completely astonished. She left us just a few things, even though she always said she would have left us basically everything. I don't need the money involved that much, as I already inherited from my other aunt and my job pays me really well. But my mom always had to struggle financially speaking. It would have been a huge help since she doesn't want anything from me. I tried to give her some money in the past, but she always sent it back, being stubborn as she can be. As we walked out, I pulled my cousin by my side to ask him just one thing. Me: "Hey cousin, listen, I know it's a dumb question, but when I last saw her, I brought my aunt a little ceramic bell, shaped as a lady. She held it to her chest all the time. I would like to have it back. It would be a memory of her." Him smiling at me like I was the most stupid person on earth.
Yeah, sure, whatever. I don't know what I could do with that stupid bell. Take it. But don't expect us to give you anything more. We had to sweat bullets for this will to work.
Me? I'm sorry? What do you mean? He realized he screwed up, so he just left. My mom went back home. I headed back to my office to take a closer look at my aunt's will. It was bulletproof and the handwriting was, without any doubt, my aunt's. So what the hell did he mean when he said that? It took me several weeks to finally get the clue. As previously mentioned by my husband, it was just this small phrase. My aunt's husband died 7 years before. How the hell could he mention anything? Since zombies are still nowhere to be seen, and I don't know of any deceased person talking from his grave, I started to scan the whole will once again. Things I never noticed became as clear as the sun. Number 1, there were missing pages. My aunt numbered them, but the second and fourth pages were missing, with sentences left hanging there. Number 2, some of the corrections were legit, but looking closely, there were a few of them where the uncertain hand of a 81-year-old lady suddenly became stronger and more precise. Number 3, my aunt's husband was mentioned every time my aunt was talking about money and valuables. He did say something about the savings, but apparently his ties that were to be given to charity did not need his approval. Strange, huh? When I talked to my mom and her parents about this, my granddad, who is 74 and has still more strength and lucidity than your average 40-years-old dude, mentioned my aunt's husband, Will. We don't know what he said. His family never let us even take a look at it, and it wasn't worth it to sue them. I went back to the notary the next day asking to see the will. Since I was a relative, he let me, but asked what was going on. I simply said, "You will know soon enough." When I read it, I started laughing so hard that even the secretary came to see what the hell was going on. I rushed back to my office and started to write everything down. Crap was about to hit the fan, but not for my family. After a few days, me, my mom, her parents and my aunt's relatives met once again in front of the notary. I already told him what was happening. I could see him trying not to look disgusted as my aunt's husband's beloved ones walked in. Notary: "We are all here. Apparently OP has some things to discuss with us concerning inheritances." You could hear a pin drop a mile away, so I stood up and opened my bag. My family was smiling, my relatives were staring daggers from their eyes. Me: "As we all know, Auntie left everything to you. Nothing is wrong here, as she didn't have any direct relationship with anyone in this room. What is wrong though is the reason behind it." I handed a copy of the will to everyone, with some parts being highlighted. Me: "As you can see, pages are missing. Some corrections are different, to say the least. But most importantly, my uncle is cited quite often. This led me to his will." At this point my relatives turned whiter than snow. My cousin tried to stop me, telling me I couldn't possibly use my uncle's will as more than 5 years passed. The notary told him that I totally could, as the allowance to contest a will is 10 years. So he kept silent. Me: "He left to my aunt everything he had if she would have left it to you as she died. You see, in our state it is not legal to make such a kind of contract. So I want to let you know that you just lost all your rights on my uncle's will, and you are all to be sued for false declaration and public deed and attempted fraud." They started screeching and screaming, calling me names and wishing me an obviously pleasant and late death. All because one of them was not clever enough to shut his mouth. Now they lost everything they had, since their farm, their money, their house and their cars were all my uncle's. They have been forced to leave the house they were living in, all because their bank accounts have been blocked and even their farm had to be closed, since it was also my uncle's previous activity. Since the correction they made was actually very precise and some items, jewelry, ingots, cash, are now mysteriously missing, they even have to pay for an equal value. They had a little empire but managed to lose everything over greed and stupidity. Ladies and gentlemen, please listen to me. If you want to screw with someone, at least have the courtesy of not doing it with a lawyer. And Ripe Stars, please let me know what you think about this, in my opinion, extremely juicy revenge story. And in addition, something came to my mind that I wanted to explain, at least to the people that are still watching. Some new viewers always ask me, why do I ask people to post star emojis in the comments? To be honest, in the beginning it was simply a sign of our community, so I could see who are the really loyal viewers, but nowadays there is a bigger meaning behind it. You know, nowadays in the comment section on YouTube there are a lot of bots and hacked accounts, and nobody really knows what happens if you interact with them. For me personally, the star emojis signify that this person is safe to interact with and a member of our community, and that's why I would encourage everyone to post them. It just makes it easier for everyone in our community to see that you are not a bot and that you are a real person. So yeah, that's for everyone that was still wondering why I always ask about star emojis. And Ripe Stars, with this we have unfortunately reached the end of today's video. However, if you cannot get enough of my stories, then I would highly suggest you to check out my endless binge watch playlist, which will show up at any moment in the left corner of the screen, which includes over 1000 Ripe stories. In addition, if you would like to share one of your own stories, then please head on over to r/Ripe Stories on Reddit, where you can post your own story and there is a good chance that I might read it in a video. In addition, please also check out my Patreon at patreon.com/RipeYouTube for more than 50 exclusive Reddit videos that you won't find on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching, your daily support is very much appreciated, and I hope to see you again tomorrow.